So the campaign in Earth versus Mars, the kind of most fun aspect to me here is that we really put the player in the driver's seat, and we do that through the Splice-O-Tron.
Early in the story, we figure out the Splice-O-Tron technology that starts to give us an edge against the Martians. We can use the incredible abilities of animals to enhance ourselves and create super soldiers.
Within the Splice-O-Tron, we have 10 unique creatures available.
Having your different combos, I think it really goes into something special when you're trying to mix and match, finding what works for you, and also the visual style of them as well, as each animal has its own particular character, which is fun to see on the map.
Probably one of my favorites is the cow, and that will become very apparent as soon as you boot the game.
My favorite Splice creature is the squirrel, because my favorite animal is the squirrel, and it has some pretty useful abilities, such as the acorn shot, which gives it a little bit of range, considering the fact that it's not quite as tanky as some of the other creatures.
You can hide it in the trees, you can move it around. If you put wings on a squirrel, it becomes a little bit of a fighter jet.
The creature abilities in the Splice-O-Tron are obviously very powerful, and I think probably one of my favorites is the Eagle Swoop. So it enables you to kind of take a big swipe at multiple enemies at a time, which is really good at kind of clearing a board potentially, but also softening your targets, which in tactics games is really important. You don't necessarily want to leave a lot of units at full health. If you can take several units down a little bit, that will slow them in terms of being able to capture your buildings and cities and all of that. So the Eagle Swoop is super useful.
The Gecko lets all your infantry units move across mountain tiles, which, depending on the map, can be a huge advantage. The Axolotl runs across water, and while it's there, it's going to heal any units that happen to be nearby and damaged. It's a pretty great support unit.
The Axolotl's bubble. It's a great way to protect your own units temporarily, but it's also a really great way to debuff your enemies when they're about to do something you may not be looking forward to.
I'm particularly fond of the cheetah with the double move. Having that extra ability boost to attack twice, get multiple positions, I think is really exciting.
The bear has one of the strongest attack values in the entire game. If you want to break a tank, send a bear at it. It's great to drop on a pack of units that your opponent wasn't expecting.
Fly-based soldiers are my go-to. The acid spit ability is great for turning choke points into death traps and throw in some cheetah legs and an eagle's wings, and you've got a very formidable soldier.
So, you take the head of the cow.
So it's a very versatile unit, being a cow, which means you refresh units around it, which is extremely powerful. That means potentially more than one unit can take 2 actions in a turn. And then obviously you give the cow cheetah legs, because then it can run really far and give lots of units that opportunity. So, very powerful.
One of the goals for the Earth versus Mars team was to learn Unreal and get a sense for its strengths and weaknesses.
It allowed us to work with a smaller team to achieve our creative goals.
Relic in the past has used its own engines for a lot of our real-time strategy games. When we start working on a project that's not a real-time strategy, there's an opportunity to look at the broader market of game engines and see what we can take and what'll help us make the game.
The reason we picked Unreal and working within Unreal is both because we need the studio to kind of ramp up on the tool set that are out there that can be purchased, that we can use for other games, but also because Unreal, being a sort of in-the-box engine, allows us to iterate quite a bit faster.
It was also a chance to focus on different aspects of gameplay that RTS doesn't always need to focus on, being able to focus on fewer units on the map and getting a little bit closer to the action.
Unreal is an industry standard around the world, and it afforded us a lot of opportunities as we're standing up something new.
For myself as a designer, I've typically focused on narrative, but coming into Unreal, it's a lot easier for me to pick up this tool set and start scripting events and missions and doing sort of custom intros or outros and working with the combat layer, and I think that's where the real win for us is.
One day I would be looking at making new UI panels. One day I would be making new animations. I would make a new ability in the morning and then make a new map in the afternoon.
We had done some prototyping and new game ideas in Unreal in the past, but building a full-featured real-time strategy game in Unreal is a big commitment. Whereas a labs game like Earth vs. Mars is the perfect place to experiment and have some fun along the way.
One of our challenges for using the Unreal Engine was a really exciting one, actually, was being able to discover and explore this new engine that we haven't had a lot of experience with. And we were able to come together as a dev team to try different things out that were maybe a bit different from how we had done them in our own proprietary engine.
There's a lot you can do in Unreal, and its flexibility is its greatest strength.
During our visual development, it was very much see and say. So it was just like, hey, let's work on this visually between artists on the day-to-day account. So if you wanted to see, hey, let's exaggerate with this, let's push these colors, let's push the scale. It was very intuitive for us to do that, and that really gave us, very short build times, short turnaround time, short integration times. Was pretty exciting for us to engage with.
When designing the art style and exploring the direction we wanted to go for, we looked at our inspirations of old B-movies and also looked a little bit at comic books to see ways to make characters more vibrant and leap off the screen a little bit.
One of the most compelling endeavors of working on the game was being able to push the graphic style for a project. So determining the visual style, we had to do a lot of various research. We wanted something that was quick and easy to produce. It had a broad appeal. It still had some maturity to it. So we really looked at it being a graphic novel style. We wanted big flashy effects, clean, bold shapes for unit readability, separating our characters from our backgrounds so that everything can feel like it's an escape, which is contrary to a lot of our main titles at the studio. They're very realistic, based on real-world research, and this was an area for us to have a little fun and push the visual direction at Relic on Earth vs. Mars.
For the characters and creatures, such as the Martians and even some of the vehicles, we really wanted to put our own spin on everything. The new invention, the Splice-O-Tron in the game, it was an interesting challenge to combine two elements into one. We decided to start with this old RV that operates as the HQ within the game that comes with Annabelle Corman. And she has inside of it, there's the Splice tube where she does all of her experiments. And that was one of my favorite things to design in the game because it's not like anything I'd ever gotten to design before.
The character and creature design was really one of the most fun aspects of the overall development of the game. The Earth units were pretty clean and clear. Definitely, militarized tanks, recognizable soldiers, things like that, recognizable weapons. The characters were very grounded. The Martians were a bit of a challenge where there's been a lot of different renditions over the years.
We wanted the Martian faction to look very distinct from what we already have on Earth.
So we came down to a very simple body shape after exploring a bunch, working at our brainstorm sessions. We wanted to have like these, reminiscent Mars attacks of the domes.
And we wanted to explore a more retro time period, so we put a lot of thought into that when we were designing the creatures and the technology that was being used.
And then the really exciting part was also the vehicles for the Martian. And that was basically style and design of like 1950s cars and bringing that into the actual Martian saucers and shapes, very clean lines. They're very round. All the Earth units are very sharp and square and boxy, so getting that contrast between the two. It was a lot of fun to put that all together, and the team did a great job.